All right, so this is going to be how we use the monthly payment calculator. So I know the formula is kind of intimidating. I also had, if you're in my, I made a mistake when I wrote the formula down. So good times. All right, so we still have P. We have R times 1 plus R to the N. And then here we have just 1 plus R to the N. And then it's a big minus 1. So you're subtracting that whole thing from 1. Even though I thought it was N minus 1, but it's not. Okay, so remember, P is our principal. That's the amount that we are paying. I'm not sure if that's with an A or if it's with an LE, but I'll look it up later. They have it with an L here. N is the number of payments. And R is the interest rate per month. So one of the things that we're going to do in this class is when we have formulas to use, we're going to write down what each of those things, what numbers go in for each one, and then we're going to fill in the formula, okay? All right, so for this problem, it says the vehicle costs, so the cost of the vehicle. This is, again, the first page of your packet. The cost of the vehicle is $29,545. You have a down payment of $5,000. You have an APR. In one of the problems in this packet, they tell you the APY. We are going to just pretend it says APR because they're a little bit different. So my interest rate is 8.24%, and the term of my loan is 60 months. Okay, so before we start paying stuff down, we have a couple of calculations we need to do. So the first thing we're going to do is find the principal. All right, so the principal is going to be that's the amount of the loan. So it's going to be $29,545, and you're going to just subtract 5,000 from that, which is going to give you $24,545. No big deal, right? So that's the first thing we need to do. So that's P in our formula, okay? The next thing we need to do is figure out what our interest rate per month is going to be. So we know that our interest rate is 8.24%. That's per year. That's our annual percentage rate. So to find the interest rate per month, the first thing we have to do is, because this is a percent, remember that means divide by 100. When we did this in class, I divided by 100 and then divided by 12. I feel like that was confusing. So we're going to do 8.24 divided by 100, which is going to give us 0.0824. So that's our annual percentage rate as a decimal instead of as a percent, okay? So 8.24 per 100 is the same as this fraction, or this decimal that I've written here, 0.0824. Then I need to divide that by 12. Why do I divide it by 12? Because I'm looking for my interest per month. There are 12 months in a year. This is my total interest-ish paid by the year. So I'm going to divide that by 12, and that's going to give me 0.00687. So again, when we did this in class, I think I missed a 0. So does that make a big difference? It sure does. So that's what I'm going to use for R. Notice there are 2 zeros here. That's really important. And then the last one is just what is my, sorry, I'm just trying to choose a good color. The last one is N, and N is just 60 because my lease or my loan is 60 months long. Okay, so now I know what P is, I know what N is, and I know what R is, so I'm going to fill in my equation. All right, so I'm going to write A equals two, 4, 5, 4, 5 times R 0.00687 times 1 plus 0.00687. Oops, sorry. Let's undo that. We'll put this back. And then my exponent on that is going to be 60. Okay. And then on the bottom, we're going to do 1 plus. We're going to put our rate in there. We're going to write our 60 again, and we're going to write minus 1. And again, that's a big minus 1. I thought it was part of the exponent when I read the formula, and that was incorrect. So this is again 0.00687 to the 60. Okay, so when you're putting this into the calculator, anytime you're putting fractions in the calculator, I highly recommend you put parentheses around the whole top and around the whole bottom. So if I'm putting this into my scientific calculator, I'm typing in 24545 times parentheses 0.00687, and then another opening parentheses 1 plus 0.00687, close that parentheses, use the caret, and then the 60. Now close that parenthesis. See how that's the whole top in parentheses? Okay. Then I'm going to press the divided by button, which in your calculator, when it types out, is going to look like a slash. But it's just divided by. Remember, a fraction bar and a division sign are the same thing, so don't freak out about them. So then I'm going to do another set of double parentheses, because I'm putting parentheses around the whole bottom. 1 plus 0.00687 to the 60th minus 1, and then close those parentheses. So the extra parentheses that are in this gray or white chunk of information, those extra parentheses are just putting parentheses around the numerator of the fraction and then parentheses around the denominator. So it's like I put parentheses here and here, and then I put parentheses here and here, okay? Otherwise, it would just subtract 1 at the very end of the problem, and that would be really confusing. All right, so this should give you, once you're done with this, about $500.55 would be your annual payment, or your monthly payment, sorry. Again, this number was way too high when we did it in class because I was missing one of the zeros in the rate. All right, so then that's what you put in your monthly payment. And then my monthly payment is $555 My down payment, which is what I paid when I signed up for the loan, was $5,000, right? That's the $5,000 I subtracted up on the top. So my total paid is $500.55 times 60, because I'm doing it, I have to pay that 60 times, plus 5,000. Sorry. There we go. And so you can just put that right into your calculator just like that, and that will give you $35,033.32. So that's the total cost if you finance at 8.24% for 60 months. That's how much you have to pay. Okay? And there shouldn't be any questions about that, but that's what you do. So let's talk through this really quickly again. The first thing we did when we saw our APR was we divided by 100 here. And the reason we divided by 100 there is because it's a percent. That means divide by 100. So we did that. And then we divided it by 12 because we are making a payment every month. Sometimes you could see this, instead of saying it's for 60 months, it could say it's for 5 years. And then you have to multiply that by 12 because you're making 60 payments. Yes? So then we put in the principal. We multiply by this crazy formula, which you do not have to memorize. This part in gray is just what you actually plug into your calculator, and you should get $500.55 out. It's super important that you put that formula into your calculator and try to get that. And then to find the total paid, I do the amount I pay each month times the number of months plus my down payment. That's how much I pay for the vehicle. All right, that should make sense. You shouldn't have a ton of questions about that. The leasing part is actually easier. Again, I'm going to erase this, but you can go back and look at it again if you need to. The leasing part is easier because the calculations are super confusing, so we're not asking you to do them. But we know that for this problem we have, for the lease, we have a monthly payment of $414. We know that we have $24.99 due at signing. And we have a 10,000 mile restriction. Okay. So our monthly payment, which is the first question, is $414. Okay. Due at signing is $24.99, and again our lease term is 60 months. And so we're going to do 414 times 60, like in the first problem, plus $24.99, which gives us our grand total of, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not on the screen. Oh, I guess it's okay. $27,339. And again, you can just type that into your calculator just like that. Okay, so to buy, I'm going to change colors again. So if we're going to buy, we would pay $35,033 If we were going to lease, we would pay $27,000, $27,399. All right. So it saves you about $7,700 to lease instead of buy. I think it's about $7,700. The lease is about cheaper, less expensive. If after 5 years the car is worth more than $7,700, you had a better deal when you bought it, because you only paid $35,000 for it. So if your buyout for your vehicle is $12,000 after 5 years, in order to buy the vehicle now, you would need to pay an additional $12,000. Okay. So let me actually do this in a different color. Okay. So if you want the car at the end, so there are two options. The value is less than $7,700, or the value is more than $7,700. If the value is less than $7,700 afterwards, leasing is less expensive if you buy the car. If the value of the car at the end of the 5 years is more than $7,700, buying is a better value. Because again, if you have to pay $12,000 for the car, let's just say, that means that you would do 12 minus $7,700 is about $4,300. You would have to pay the $7,700 that you haven't paid yet plus the $4,300, right? You would have to pay $12,000 at the end of the lease to have the car. And so $27,339 plus $12,000 brings you up to $39,339, right? If the value of the car is only $5,000 after the lease is over, then you'll only have to add $5,000 to the lease price, which would bring you to $32,339. So that's a better deal. Okay. So it's all about how much the car is worth at the end of the lease. All right. Hopefully that helps you with your problems. And for you to think about what decision you should make when you're buying versus leasing. And then another thing is, it might be a lot easier for you to afford $24.99 down and a monthly payment of $414 than for you to put $5,000 down and have a monthly payment of $500. Like, only one of those might be feasible for you. So you got to do what you can afford, right? All right, that's it. I will see you in class with your homework done. Thank you so much.